The top four race heated up massively last night with a very important win for Arsenal Football Club against Wolverhampton Wanderers. It was always going to be a difficult game. Wolves have been one of the hardest teams to break down and beat this season, especially at Molineux. Very defensively solidified, very little space to play between the lines. And, Arsenal have been a little bit lackluster in front of goal of late as well. So it was always a tough place to go. There was an advantage. They are the third worst scorers in the league, Wolves. So they were never going to be an overtly potent threat from an attacking point of view. But nonetheless, with the crazy red card for Martinelli, it was a very, very good win for Arsenal indeed. With Tottenham losing 2 games on the bounce and still having a few issues when it comes to the pressure points, not being Spursy, and with Man United in absolute disarray. And we know United are. Every day new leaks, more complaints today about the management, more frustrations with the management, the coaching, players not being happy, Ronaldo looking to leave, Maguire out trending everywhere. They're a mess. They're an absolute mess. And it's why we're looking at the fixtures coming up. You look at some of the data points in terms of the trajectory of teams. I'm making Arsenal now my favourites to make that top 4. And I already know the response because I've been on socials a long time. You're just trying to set Arsenal up to fail. You're just trying to set Arsenal up to fail. No, I'm speaking candidly. I'm speaking real. I'm speaking honest. If I was to come in here and say United are favourites, the same people saying I'm setting Arsenal up to fail would say you're hating on Arsenal. My reasoning is this. I think all of Arsenal, Man United and Tottenham are going to drop points between now and the end of the campaign. We all have habits of dropping points to team. I'm just going to name some teams here. Your team might have beaten them this year, but you get my point. Watford's and Crystal Palace's and Burnley's, especially Brighton's. We all have an ability to drop points to those teams. So I'm looking at those key crunch games. How many big, hard matches do these teams have? How many really tough games away from home do these teams have? And when you look at Arsenal Football Club, they don't concede very many goals anymore. Yes, they've had a few periods. They had a few moments. They had a few situations of late where they conceded a bit more goals. But generally speaking, when you look at Arsenal's overall record in the Premier League, and as an example, lots of clean sheets in games. Lots of games where they're not conceding an abundance of goals. And they've improved dramatically in that area. Last night was another example of that. I know against Burnley they didn't win, but another clean sheets, 2 clean sheets on the bounce. They only conceded 2 to Man City, and that was only after they only conceded the second after they went down to 10 men and a silly penalty. But they were very resolute in that game. Defensively, Arsenal are very, very strong indeed. Arsenal's home record is absolutely sensational as well. Absolutely sensational as well. The away record, this is where it's going to be key. They've got one really hard game left away from home, and that's going to be Chelsea. I don't count the North London derby. North London derbies, I know Tottenham's record at home against them has been very good, but I'll get on to why Arsenal are going to win that game, in my opinion. When I look at the situation of this, they go away to Chelsea, and all their other away games are against Watford, Villa, Crystal Palace, Southampton. West Ham will be tough, to be fair, and Newcastle United. Their away run of fixtures for Arsenal are very, very winnable indeed. Barring Chelsea, they are better than every single one of those other teams, and I include West Ham United in that. When you look at Manchester United, they have to go away to Liverpool, they have to go away to Man City, and Man United have to go away to Arsenal, which has been a very poor hunting ground for Man United of late. I look at those 9 points and can't see Man United getting more than 1, maybe 2 points at an absolute push. That's a huge differential between the two teams. And when you look at Tottenham, they've got to go away to Man City. They've got to go to Man United, which will probably end itself being in a draw. They have got to go away to Liverpool at the same time and still have to play that North London derby. And the reason why I'm going to side with Arsenal in this North London derby is for the fact it's been pushed back to this point. If it took place 2 or 3 weeks ago, I think Spurs at that point may have beaten them. But we've seen in the last 2 games, Spurs found themselves in a very, very good position. They were on 36 points with 19 games played. They had a 2-game advantage over Manchester United. And at the time, I think they had a 2 to 3 game advantage over Arsenal. but they were legitimate. They were level on points. They were level on points with Arsenal. Sorry, in fact, they were 1 point in front of Arsenal on the liar. And when it's really mattered for Tottenham again, Spursy, oh Spursy, oh Spursy has come through. So I think when they play that rescheduled game later on in the season, there's going to be so much pressure upon both teams. In my experience, when it comes to pressure, when they play each other, Arsenal invariably come out on top. Arsenal put themselves into this position not by luck. This isn't. Some people will look at certain data points and say, "Oh, this is a false position for Arsenal because United have been worse this season. Leicester are nowhere near they should be, and if Spurs would have got Conte from the beginning of the season, yeah, maybe all these things are true in the multiverse, but not in reality. In reality, Arsenal are 5th in the league. They're only a point behind West Ham, but they have 2 games in hand over them. West Ham have done very, very well this season. And I think West Ham will end up finishing somewhere in the region of 6th or 7th this year. That isn't because I think they're a bad team. That isn't because I think they are punching above their weight. I just look at the fact that, again, they've played more games than everybody else that's behind them. And I just think they will not even level out. I think they'll continue to win maybe at the same rate, but they'll end up finishing 3 to 5 points away from the top 4. I don't see them as a bigger threat to Arsenal's reign. Arsenal are the favourites for me. They've got the better run of fixtures. They have got the easier teams away from home. Their home form is exemplary. And then on to them as a team, as I've mentioned, they're structured very well. They're barely conceding goals. The only area that can let Arsenal down is if they don't get Martinelli, Smith Rowe, Odegaard and Saka scoring again. That would be the one blemish. That would be the one issue right now as an Arsenal fan that I would have with the way they are performing as a team, is that their better players are suddenly not scoring goals. We saw last night Lacazette missed that horrible chance and really kind of let himself down again. They could have put that game to bed early when they went down to 10 men. And the reason I focus on those 4 players that I mentioned is they went through a very rich reign of form in and around November, December, where they were all scoring. It felt like in every game. Excuse me. You know, Smith Rowe now hasn't scored a goal since Boxing Day, as an example. And there'll be reasons for that, but he hasn't scored a goal since Boxing Day, injury, not always playing. Saka hasn't scored a goal since the 1st of January. So we're getting towards 6 to 7 weeks for him now. Martinelli hasn't scored a goal since the 18th. Now he had that little run of games. He scored a goal against West Ham. He scored 2 goals, I think, against Leeds. And he hasn't scored a goal since the 18th of December. We're looking at 2 months now without a goal or an assist from him. And then you look at Odegaard, who again had that purple patch where he was creating and he was scoring and he was looking like the real deal. Again, he's now on sort of 5 games. Again, Boxing Day since he created or scored a goal. And look, of course, he's created chances. People have missed them as an example. That's going to be the only sour point in this for Arsenal. You need to get those 4 young men performing and playing again. It's very unfair that a football club of the stature of Arsenal is putting all their pressure upon, barring Odegaard, on kids and players developing, but that is what they're going to need. Arsenal have the base. Arsenal have the structure. The only thing slightly missing is the potency up front, the clinical edge up front of putting that ball into the back of the net. That's the only area where it could go wrong. Now, in terms of people saying, because look, this is the Football Terrace, it's the rival channel, the original top 6. There'll be banter if they fail and fall away, but that's always contextual. It's always contextual. If Man United now go on a crazy run, and of their last 15 games I think they've got to play, win 12 of them, draw 2, lose 1, that won't be on Arsenal if they miss out. That's just Man United have a better squad, have spent a lot more money, and clicked into gear at the right time. If Tottenham do the same thing, that's also true. The only time it becomes banter for Arsenal is if in the next 4 games they find themselves 8 points clear of a game in hand of Tottenham, Man United and West Ham and end up coming 7th. That's the only time for me as an individual I would look at it and say that's a hypothetical example where I'd look at it and go, that's a bad collapse. That's a poor moment for Arsenal. But I think they are ahead of schedule. I do think that with playing almost 1 game a week on average between now and the end of the season should be an advantage. They get to prep, they get to prepare, they get to center themselves for each game. They can work on exact tactics for each team every single time they play. And as a Man United fan, and I'm sure Spurs fans feel the same, I'm jealous of that. I'm jealous of the fact that my team he's basically going to be doing recovery, 1 day prep, recovery, 1 day prep between all these games. Again, unless we go out of the Champions League in the next round, then it might make things again a little bit easier for Manchester United. But you don't want to go out of the Champions League, so it becomes a bit of a catch-22 in your mind. Arsenal have a great advantage here. They have a great opportunity to secure the top 4. Spent all kind of night really thinking about this, who I think's winning the race in the fight, and looking at all the data points, looking at the results, looking at the fixtures, looking at 1 game a week. For me, it has to be Arsenal. Now, I want your thoughts and I want your feelings. I want to know what you believe in relation to this. Leave your comments below. Smash that like button before you leave. But until next time, take care. Goodbye. God